Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good afternoon or good evening, Professor Rashmi.
Good afternoon, Professor Burhan. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I'm fine. How about you?
We are also fine. And
That's
Dr.
good.
Kavita, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, ma'am. How are you? Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Yelena.
Hello, Dr. Rashmi.
How are you?
Thank you. Safe.
Very warm welcome to all the dignitaries, respected personalities, and participants from across the globe. Warm welcome to International Summit UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Hello.
Today with us
Okay,
we
students
have
are
four
joining.
speakers from around the globe, and we are going to learn so many new things from them. Now I would like to invite Campus Director, KC Group of Institutes, Professor Dr. Rashmi Gujarati, to welcome all the keynote speakers.
Professor Rashmi, are you there?
Yes,
Am
I'm
I
here.
audible?
Yeah.
Yes. Now I would like to invite Campus Director, KC Group of Institutes, to welcome all the keynote speakers, Professor Dr. Rashmi Gujarati.
Thank you very much and good evening from India. And it's my pleasure to be invite you, our speakers. Today we are going to organize a international summit on UN Sustainable Development Goal. As we know very well that UN has took agenda on 1st January and in 2015 to complete the task up to 2030, and they have took the agenda of 17 goals and to be completed up to 2020. And as we know very well, the agenda were the goal number 1, that was a no poverty. Goal number 2, that was a zero hunger. Goal number 3, that is a good health and well-being. Goal 4, quality education. Goal 5, gender equality. Goal 6, clean water and sanitation. Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. Goal 8, decent work and economic growth. Goal 9, industry innovation and infrastructure. Goal 10, reduce inequality. Goal 11, sustainability, cities and communities. Goal 12, responsible consumptions and production. With that, goal 13, it is related with climate action. Goal 14, it is related with life below water. Goal 15, life on land. Goal 16, it is a very important peace, justice, and strong institution. And goal 7, partnership for with other countries. So with us, we have an international speakers, Professor Dr. Burhan, Professor Yelena, Professor Dr. Kavita, Professor Joy from South Korea. Today, our speakers are going to explain their goals, and these goals is very important. We all professors from around the world are trying to spread the knowledge of the sustainable development goals, how our students and our society peoples can help in the society to complete this task up to 2030. So with us, I welcome all the speakers from international level. Dr. Burhan is from Turkey. Dr. Yelena is from Ukraine, and as in which situation they are living there. Dr. Kavita is from Bangalore, and Professor Joy is from South Korea. So I welcome on behalf of KC Group of Institution in this summit. This summit is going from fun today 10 to 17, and each goal will be described and which will be help to our students also. As in our new education policy 2020, the sustainable development goal those students are getting these certificates, they are getting a 2 credit. So it will be a valuable for the students to getting this certificate. I give a warm welcome to our speakers on this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for introducing us with all the introduction of different speakers. Now, the first keynote speaker with us is Professor Jeon Chung. Professor Jeon Chung is PhD holder is the PhD holder from University Malaya. His Masters of Law LLM was from NUS Singapore. His core area of expertise are intellectual property, environmental law, and business law and ethics. He has 21 years of both industrial and academic experience. He is a reviewer, member of Global Scopus journals, supervisor of postgraduate students, and advisor to government agencies, NGOs, and private SMEs sectors on holistic compliance, imparting business trends and sustainability in Asian region. He advocates for Lonism approached in business realms in compliance with UNSDG goals. So I would like to welcome Professor Jeon Chung from North Korea.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
How do I upload my slide?
Yeah. Yes, now.
Okay. Very good evening to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the chairman, Professor Dr. Rashmi, for the opportunities. And I would like to thank the organizing committees for your good work. I would also like to thank the organizer and everyone involved for giving me this opportunity. I will try to present and speak on goal 1 as short as possible. I hope everyone enjoying the global conference. All right. My name is Dr. Jong Chun Phu. I will be speaking on goal 1, the Malaysian perspective. On goal 1 is to reduce or eradicate poverty. Now, in Malaysia, our poverty progress or the outline is not so good. Now, in 2015, the statistic has been shown that we have achieved no poverty, right? As per 0.0% in 2015. So that is the statistic for 2015. Now, in Malaysia, where is the poverty rate? So using the baseline 2015, the proportion of population living below the national poverty line was 0.4% in 2015. Right, so that is the statistic that we managed to get. So my question to everyone today is this enough? Right? So this is Malaysia outlook. Right? You can see in 2018, 100% of the country's poor population were receiving social assistance and cash benefits. In 2019, we have children receiving cash benefits 1.4 and 2019 3. So is this enough? Right? Now, globally, besides Malaysia, the story is not a good one. According to UN database and report, since COVID-19, we have 4 years of progress, but this has been erased by the unavoidable COVID-19 pandemic. So that is the global story of goal 1. And the war in Ukraine have further derailed the progress with regards to Goal 1. So we have the war in Ukraine by Russia. We will have problem in many countries, right? So we hope to see a solution soon so that Goal 1 will not be further derailed. In the area of working poverty, the rate has also increased, and this is also the same for Malaysia. And we have 8 million workers, right, in poverty. Hopefully, we can redress this. In summary, Goal 9 is not a pretty picture at all. In summary, so in Malaysia, what are the measures taken to comply with Goal 1? Where do we go from now? Now, moving forward, we have a plan, right, for the plan 2023. It was during the interview between Malaysia and United Nations. What is this plan? Now, we have 21 agencies in support of Malaysia efforts to eradicate poverty. So we have a lot of agencies, right? So we have 21 there. And Malaysia supported the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, UNSDCF. And Malaysia is focusing on strategic priority area 1, focusing more on equity and high quality social service and social protection. So this is how we are going to solve the problem. We also have launched the My SDG Foundation. So this is one of the foundation that will help accelerate Goal 1, launched by the previous Prime Minister of Malaysia. Now we also recognize the gap between urban and rural, right, with regards to general related poverty. So we have a big gap there, right? I will not go into details, but in Malaysia we have developed state and we have developing state. So the developed state, we have no problem. However, we have problem in developing states, such as the state of Pahang, Kedah, Terengganu, and Pulau Pinang, right? So we are trying to close the gap to reduce poverty with regards to urban and rural. So how do we go forward by 2030? Right? Now in Malaysia we have 3 measures, right? We have incident of absolute poverty, and then we have relative poverty, and then we have the gap between the urban and rural. Now before COVID and after COVID, as published by the Department of Statistics, before COVID, our performance is good. However, during COVID, our performance is not so good, right? So that is a summary of the Goal 1. Now, one of the best ways to move forward is that Malaysia has included Goal 1 in a very big plan. This plan is called the Malaysian Plan number 12, valid until 2025. This is a very big plan. Now, in this 12 Malaysian plan, we have focused on Goal 1. Our critical point is to develop the less developed states by increasing economic activities, improving infrastructure, and connectivity. So this is the main critical point. If there is time, I would like to say that as far as relative poverty is concerned, we will always have relative poverty. However, in terms of absolute poverty, we have reduced the gap before COVID-19 and after COVID-19. The challenges has been expressed by one of our critic, James. What the 12 Malaysian plan tell us about? It is just a piece of nice paper with glossy picture. So how are we going to implement? Right? We are going to implement all this in the 12 Malaysian plan. The summary of this is to focus on improving high value added industry, such as aerospace and pharmaceutical, right? Focusing on higher value add so that more citizens will have employment, and this will reduce the poverty gap. We have some good news, right? So we are moving up the goal as a high income nation by 2025. I believe India is also working, and every country are working hard to move up the high income goal by 2025. We are also learning from the past, our mistake. So this is acknowledged by the World Bank. Right? Learn from the past to chart the future. So Malaysia is learning, and I believe every country, every developing countries are learning as well from the past to reduce poverty. Finally, the conclusion is Malaysia has done well in Goal 1, right? And eradicating poverty in developing state. However, in underdeveloped state, the progress is slow, and this is caused by political environment, a state ruled by non-government parties. Of course, we have to be fair. There must be political fairness, and we need a balanced approach in providing help to the state to reduce poverty so that Malaysia as a whole can achieve Goal 1 by 2025, 2020, 2030 and beyond. With that, I thank the chairman for the opportunity, the organizing committee, and if there's any question, you are free to pass them to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So it was Professor Jeon Chung from South Korea. If there is any question or from audience side, you can ask question in the chat box. We can later on discuss with that. And the next in the row with us, Professor Yeliana. Professor Yeliana is a PhD Associate Professor, Deputy Head of Management Department, Kyiv National Economic University, named after Vadim Hetman, Ukraine. She is a member of the Faculty of Management Council, member of the university's Scientific and Methodological Council. She is a lecturer on business strategy, change management, and strategic management at the bachelor, MBA, and master's and PhD levels. Her scientific interests are managing the process of strategic implementation of organization, cultural development. She has participated in consulting projects to improve the efficiency of enterprises, transferring them to self-sufficiency. She has fostered strategic sessions for companies. She has prepared methodical recommendations and held the trainings for the top government managers on strategic management in the state authority at the School of Senior Civil Service Corps of the National Agency of Ukraine for Civil Services. Amid international impacts factor journals, Honorable International Editor. She is honorary member of the Honorable Editorial Board of the IJBST Journal Group and the Journal of Studies in Social Sciences and Humanities Associate Editor. So here with us, Professor Yeliana.
Thank you very much for introduction. Thank you, Dr. Rashmi, for inviting me for this meeting. Thank you, colleagues. Let me share my presentation. Do you see presentation?
Yes, ma'am, it
Yes.
is visible.
Mhm.
We can see.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. So my topic is about target 1, 2, mostly about Ukrainian experience. And I'll give brief information about poverty dynamics in world and in Ukraine. Then about COVID-19 influence on poverty in Ukraine and war in Ukraine, also influence on poverty in Ukraine and all over the world. So, as dear colleague Professor Jong Chan mentioned, it was a great trend to decrease poverty all over the world last years, but the COVID-19 influenced negatively to this trend. And after COVID quarantine limitations, war in Ukraine influenced on poverty level all over the world, not only in Ukraine. This graph, you may see that poverty dynamics in the world was negative, decreasing during last years, but after COVID, this trend was changed to increasing poverty all over the world. In Ukraine, up to from the beginning of the 20th century, poverty was not an actual problem for our country. We had some rate of poverty, but it was not so huge problem for our country and for our economy due to the beginning of COVID-19 limitations. You may see the COVID limitations, quarantine limitations were introduced in our country from March 12th, the year 2020, and first few months it was very strong quarantine when most common places, companies were closed, and you see that the most influence and decrease was in such industries as tourism, hotels, restaurants, and so on. At the same time, it was an increase in post services and express delivery, and also as veterinary. Also, passenger traffic was decreased nearly a half because, for example, in cities, trams, trolleybuses, and metro were closed. It was not passenger traffic for a few months from COVID-19 quarantine limitations. You may see also the trend how passenger traffic was decreased during the beginning of COVID limitations. According to official statistics, the unemployment rate increased not in very huge amount due to COVID limitations, but we think that official statistics do not show all the reality because there are a lot of people self-employed in Ukraine, and we think that when many industries were closed during the first months of COVID quarantine limitations, we think that real unemployment rate was much higher. and as a result, a lot of people had not work, income, and poverty increased due to these COVID quarantine limitations. You may see that nearly 2 times less were vacancies after the introducing, after 1 month of introducing of quarantine limitations in our country. But you know, when our economy and entrepreneurs adopted to COVID quarantine limitations and our economy began to grow again, in February the year 2022, the war in Ukraine began, Russian invasion began, and it is a huge changes in our country, employment, population, and so on. From the very beginning, nearly 11 million Ukrainian people became refugees, first to Europe and then to other countries all over the world. Some of these people returned to Ukraine when the situation in their cities became not so dangerous, but according to different estimations, nearly 8 million of Ukrainian refugees are still in Europe or abroad. Also, there are nearly 5 or 6 million people internally displaced in the country. As a result, it is nearly half of all population are refugees or internally displaced people. And yes, of course, when people are refugees or internally displaced, they are very close to the poverty, because some people who may work in a distance mode, they work. But even if people, refugees or internally displaced, if they have work, if they employed, they have a lot of additional costs for accommodation, for support of their families, and so on. So we may make a conclusion that nearly a half of population of the country is very close to the poverty level nowadays in our country. The governments of European countries support our refugees, but you know, this support is insufficient when people came from their homes and have to build all from the zero level. Also, Ukrainian government support internally displaced persons too, but you know, this support, this money funding is insufficient. So the poverty is a huge problem nowadays for Ukraine. If you see the migrants profile, nearly 90% of them are women with children, and nearly 90% need some material assistance, food, employment, and so on. Also, these migrants people, more than 60% of them, they were employed before they migrated in other countries, and now they need help, support, even if they find employment in other countries. According to the questionnaire, more than 60% of refugees do not plan to return to Ukraine until the war ends. And according to the forecast, if before the war only nearly 2% of Ukrainians were near the poverty line, to the end of the current year, more than half of Ukrainian population will be below the poverty line. Of course, it is a great problem. And finally, I have to emphasize that not only Ukrainians are close to the poverty line due to the war conditions. If you see the Europe inflation dynamics, it is increased after the beginning of the war due to economic sanctions on Russia, because European energy sector was very dependent on Russian cheap energy sources, and now Europe tries to substitute Russian energy sources by other suppliers, and that's why you see that more than 40% inflation rate in Europe only on energy. Also, for example, German economy is one of the strongest in Europe. It is a lot of industrial manufacturers in Germany, and it was dependent before the war on cheap Russian energy. But nowadays you see that inflation rate in Germany is more than 7%. Such high inflation rates were not witnessed during last maybe 20 years. Also, you see German industrial output increased significantly after the COVID limitations, but now it decreased due to war in Ukraine. Also, Great Britain inflation rate is more than 10%. It is also the highest level during the last 20 years. And Poland, it is country which has the border with Ukraine, and in the beginning of the war, nearly 2 million of migrants, refugees from Ukraine, firstly came to Poland. So this country has gave a great support for Ukrainian refugees, but you see the inflation rate is huge. So this war influence very strongly on European economies. Last few weeks, there are a lot of protests by Bulgarian, Romanian, and Polish farmers because of cheap Ukrainian grain imports to their countries, because it influences their incomes. So you see, the war has great influence on the poverty as in Ukraine, so in European countries and all over the world. Thank you very much for your attention. It's all from my side.
Mariana. So in the row with us, we have Professor Dr. Burhan Özkan. Professor Dr. Burhan Özkan is the director from Akdeniz University, Antalya, Turkey. He's a professor of agriculture economics at Turkey. He holds an MSc from Reading University, UK, and a PhD from Fukuoka University. His principal areas of research are agriculture, business management, production economics, energy economics, and food security. He has authored over 300 publications, including 250 referred journal articles. He is the founder of the Department of Agriculture Economics at Akdeniz University and has chaired the department for more than 15 years. He served as Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Director of the Lifelong Center, Coordinator of the Bologna Process and International Relation Office of the Agdanis University, and he acted as advisor to the rector of the university. Currently, he is a member of the Research Development and Coordination Board of Agdanis University. He is chair of the Agribusiness Management Division within the department and director of Social Sciences at the Vocational School of Agdanis University. So here with us, Professor Dr. Burhan Özkan.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Best wish from Antalya, Turkey. Actually, my country name is changed. Now we are saying that Turkey instead of Turkey. So can I share my paper? Okay, can you see my paper?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, it is my pleasure to be invited to this international summit. Today, I am going to talk about zero hunger, which is one of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, also known the SDGs or Global Goals. The zero hunger aims to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture by 2030. Hunger is the leading cause of death in the world. Therefore, the main of zero hunger is, or SDG 2, is about creating a world-free hunger by 2030. This year, I mean 2033, is the midpoint between the SDGs being agreed by all 193 UN member states in 2015. In fact, so far, a great progress has been made on many of the goals. However, COVID-19, conflicts, climate crisis threaten the progress of all goals. The outbreak of war in Ukraine, just we listened 5 minutes ago, poses an additional threat to food insecurity. The number of undernourished people has risen sharply over the past 2 years, with up to 828 million people in the world facing hunger in 2021. So hunger affected 278 million people in Africa and 425 million in Asia and 56.5 million in Latin America and Caribbean. So actually, most of the world's undernourished people live in Asia. Africa is the region where the prevalence is the highest. So for the second half of the road to 2030, I think it is so important to look at the achievement of level of the SDG 2. So I use secondary data sources from publications on similar topics and other sources. So, Professor Rashmi, can you see my paper? Can you see my presentation? Can you see it?
Yes, sir, it is
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, after this brief introduction, I will first talk about the SDGs, a brief information, then I will focus on zero hunger. So in this part, I will focus on hunger situation in the world and also importance of zero hunger, and I will finish my presentation, discussion, and implications. So, United Nations, during its historical summit held in New York in September 2015, adopted 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The agenda covers 17 goals referred as Sustainable Development Goals with 169 targets and 244 indicators to measure global development achievements. By this declaration, 17 SDGs, also known as global goals, officially came into force on January 1st, 2016. The SDGs aim at end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change while ensuring that no one is left behind. Actually, SDGs formulated based on the Millennium Development Goals, which were applied between 2000 and 2015 for developing countries. So lesson learned from the 8 MDGs helped the finalizing the SDGs and brought sustainability to the core of the development agenda. However, SDGs, unlike the MDGs, are universal goals and much more comprehensive in scope, and they aim go further to end all forms of poverty. Therefore, SDGs are unique and call for action for poor, rich, and middle-income countries to promote prosperity while protecting the environment. So the SDGs were also formulated to address the deficiencies noticed in the MDGs. It was reported that MDGs didn't achieve many of their targets for development in many developing countries. So, zero hunger. Actually, zero hunger or sustainable development goal is one of 17 sustainable development goals, has the 8 targets and 14 indicators for its achievement. So it sets to address the importance of food security and nutrition in agenda and call member states to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture by 2030. So you can look at the more detail, a breakdown of the sustainable development goal. So ending hunger, ending all forms of malnutrition, also ensuring the sustainable food production, correction trade restrictions, ensuring the proper functioning of food commodity markets. So all of these also related to increasing agricultural productivity and investment. There are 5 principal targets of the SDGs. These are end hunger and ensure access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food, also, and all forms of malnutrition. And the double productivity and incomes of small-scale food producers. Actually, small-scale food producers are critical actors in terms of the creating a hunger-free world. Also, maintain genetic diversity of seeds, plants, and animals is important. There are 3 main implementing mechanisms for zero hunger, which is increased investment through enhanced international cooperation, correct and prevent trade restrictions and distortions in world agricultural markets. So, and also it is important to adopt measures to ensure the proper functioning of commodity markets and their derivatives and facilitate timely access to market information. How about the hunger situation in the world? If you look at the in 2019, actually extreme hunger and malnutrition remains huge barriers to development in many countries. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 690 million people were hungry in 2019, which means that 8.9% of the world's population is hungry. The majority of the world's undernourished, which is around 381 million, were found in Asia. More than 250 million people live in Africa, where the number of undernourished people is growing faster than anywhere else in the world. Actually, current estimates indicate that 828 million people as a worldwide are hungry, with small-scale farmers accounting for the half of these people. Of course, there are some hungry people in also urban areas, but now is more than 1 in 10 people in the world don't get the privilege of eating enough. 1 in 3 of the world's population experiences undernourishment. Also, severe food insecurity appear to be increasing in almost all regions of Africa, as well as in South America. Also, on the other hand, there are 90 million children under the 5 are dangerously underweight, and 2 billion people in the world don't have regular access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. So, nearly 750 million people also face to severe levels of food insecurity. 144 million children under the age of 5 were stunted, with 3/4 living in Southern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. 47 million children under the 5 were affected by wasting or acute undernutrition due to the limited nutrition intake and infection. So if current trends continue, it is estimated that 84 million people will go hungry by 2030. Actually, currently, the number of people going hungry and suffering from food insecurity has been gradually rising since 2014. So the fastest rise was in Latin America and the Caribbean, although the highest levels were in Sub-Saharan America. This situation was deteriorated even further due to the COVID-19 and Ukraine crisis. The war in Ukraine is further disrupting global food supply chains and creating the biggest global food crisis since the Second World War. Why? Because Ukraine and Russian Federation are large producers and exporters of key food commodities and fertilizer, minerals, and energy. If you look at the figures, two countries are considered the world breadbasket supply 30% and 20% for global wheat and maize exports, respectively, as well as 80% of global exports of the sunflower seed products. Currently, at least 50 countries import 30% or more of their wheat from these two countries, also with many African and least developing countries importing more than 50%, Ukraine and Russia also leading export of fertilizers. That's why extreme hunger and malnutrition remain a barrier to sustainable development and create a trap for people who cannot easily escape from them. Without ending hunger and malnutrition and having sustainable and resilient climate compatible agriculture and food system, SDGs cannot be met. So a world with zero hunger can positively impact economies, health, education, and equality, and also social development. Therefore, zero hunger is a key piece of building a better future for everyone. Briefly, zero hunger will change the world. Zero hunger will save the lives of 3.1 million children a year. Well-nourished mothers have healthier babies with stronger immune systems, and also ending child undernutrition would increase a developing countries' GDP by 16.5%. And a dollar invested hunger prevention, according to research papers, could return between 15 and $139 in benefits. Also, proper nutrition early in could mean 46% more in lifetime earnings. On the other hand, eliminating iron deficiency in population would boost workplace productivity by 20%. Ending nutrition-related child mortality increased the workforce by 94%. So zero hunger can help build a safer, more prosperous world for everyone. So, regarding the discussions and implication, zero hunger requires a multi-dimensional approach from social protection to safe and nutritious food, especially for children, and to transforming food system to achieve more inclusive and sustainable world. SDGs are interdependent goals. The success of one will amplify the improvement in others, and downfall of one will affect the other. For instance, zero hunger cannot be achieved without achieving the climate action, peace, and justice goals of the SDGs. Also, hunger limits human development since it will not be possible to achieve other SDGs such as education, health, and gender equality. The number of undernourished people has dropped by almost half in the past. But last 2 decades, because of the COVID and conflicts and war in Ukraine, now it increased 770 million in 2015 to 828 million in 2001. So according to FAO estimates, the prevalence of the undernourishment in the world increased from 8% in 2019 to around 90% in 2020 and further to 9.8% in 21. So I'd like to thank for all participants joining to this summit. Thanks to Trade Planner for selecting this important topic to express my view. Also, my big and special thanks goes to Professor Rashmi Gujarati for her hard work as usual, actually, and also leadership to organize this summit. Finally, also I congratulate the summit team for their great success. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burhan. National Park. He is the winner of Best Paper Award. She has participated in 25 applications. UGC.
Hello, thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I
Dr.
visible and
Kavita, you
audible?
are audible. Yes, Dr. Kavita, you are audible.
So can I share my screen? I think someone else's
Yeah.
screen is also shared here.
Professor Burhan, your screen is sharing here.
So this. Yeah. Excuse me, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Visible?
Okay, okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So moving on to health and well-being, I feel all of us, irrespective of age, where we gender or which occupation we belong to, I think health and well-being is very much integral part of the sustainable development goals. Now coming to health, many people speak different things when it comes to health. So it is state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's not just about having no disease is not healthy. It is about being physically and mentally and
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Uh, I'm privileged to be a part of today's interaction and discussion. And thanks to Dr. Rashmi Gujarati ma'am for considering me as one of the speaker among all the eminent people who are here speaking and listening also. So moving on, I chose to speak on health and well-being, which is SDG 3. That they are healthy. No. Even if they are not having any disease, they are not happy in their life. Sometimes people with only one leg, because of some accident, they would have lost one leg. They are also doing good in their life. Now, how do we say that, so they are not healthy in that case? They are so happy. So now what I'm trying to say is health is not just absence of disease. It's all about physical, mental, and social well-being. So when I considered students as a focus in the study because they are the integral part of my profession. So thus so students and young adults well-being is very important. So as a faculty's point of view, I feel that healthy students are very much alert, they're engaged, they're able to concentrate better, they're able to learn better. Okay, so their all physical activity can be improved, or their learning can be improved, concentration can be improved, because of that health and well-being. It is said from the research that 1 in every 10 young adults, they suffer from a diagnosable mental health problem. 75% of mental health problem in adults have roots in childhood also. It is said that increasing number of young adults have anxiety, depression, phobias, and a scary number now self-harm also. Worse, these disorders now manifest early ages than ever before. it is said that, good. That's why, because of all these reasons, we say that good mental and physical health is very much important for learning and living a fulfilling life. Now, if you look at the health continuum here, to my left, I have this illness, and to the right, I have this health. If you look at illness here, it leads to premature death. There are a lot of diseases to one side being illness. To the other end, if you look at the continuum, it is speaking about the optimal health. If you look at optimal health, these are 100%, when it comes to they do function continuously for the development of self and the organization. But if you look at the left end and the other end, it speaks about lot of medications they undergo majority of the time because of their ill health. They're absent from the workplace, organization is suffering, they are also suffering, and continuous illness because of this may lead to their losing of job also, and thus they may not be able to discharge their duties towards their family and the dependents. So when we speak about wellness, there is no clear consensus on this, but then we say that it's a complex combination of a person's physical, mental, emotional, and social health factors. There is great agreement that at the minimum it includes presence of well-being is all about positive emotion. So we all are positively cooperating today, we all are contributing today. This is an example of positive emotion and positive mood. We all are content listening to each other, we all are happy to share our views today on this platform. This is another example of being positive or being well-being at the workplace also. What is otherwise called as well-being is I'm looking at in a positive way. For everything I'm not giving reason. So the moment I give reason, the moment I'm pessimistic and I find reason to escape from my work, it is nothing but it is negative. So if I'm not giving a reason but continuing to do a good job, accepting my delays and reworking on it so that I don't do any more delays, that's a positive sign. So if I'm more of giving reasons, that is negative. So absence of these negative emotions can also be called as well-being. I'm satisfied in life, then it is also well-being. Fulfillment and positive functioning. It's not having all about branded cars, big bungalow, but then you're not happy. So that is not well-being. There are people I see even with little things, even though they don't have too much of property, also they're very happy with whatever they have. Contentment is very much important in one's life. That contentment is nothing but again a positive functioning, that is well-being. So briefly, in simple terms, we can say that, you can call well-being as something looking at things in a positive manner, feeling good about yourself, feeling good about your work, telling yourself, oh wow, we had such a wonderful day today, isn't it? At the end of the day today I addressed the students for 6 hours, but then today I'm feeling so good talking to you all today. At the end of the day, when I'm about to leave my house, I'm still in the college, being a part of this. It's nothing but well-being, isn't it? So it's an ever-changing process. The well person usually has some, so there are
Sorry,
people.
sorry, Dr. Kavita, we can't see your slides. Still your slide on slide 1. We can't see your
Oh,
slides.
are you able to
Sorry.
see now?
Change your slide. Change your slide.
Are you able to
Please
see the
change this
slide?
now. Yes,
Is
okay
this
now. Please change
okay?
your slides. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is this seen? Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me know this. Okay, so is this seen now?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, reflective discussion is the slide, health and wellness. Yeah. So
Yes.
what we say is, are physical and mental well-being interrelated? Of course, isn't it? Yeah. So effects of mental health, let us see the effects of mental health on physical health. So if you look at the first one here, chronic disease. Okay, so depression has been linked to many chronic illnesses. So they say that, so I'm depressed. Now that depression may lead to many other diseases. And then that may affect me physically. Sleep problem. Then again, it will affect my work. Smoking. Again, it leads to, people with among smokers, they say that people with mental health conditions are more likely to smoke a greater number of cigarettes. You see? So it could be mental health also. You're not able to accept failure in life. So people start smoking. So does that mean that you're able to solve the previous problem? No. So it adds problem. Okay. So access to healthcare. So people with mental health conditions are less likely to have access to adequate healthcare also. So when you look at psoriasis or medical conditions or stigma and rejection here, so stigma and rejection is all about stress and depression mainly, which comes from anxiety. So physically you have this anxiety, mentally you have this anxiety. It affects my physical well-being in the workplace. So now how do we take care of our mental and physical health? So being physically and mentally well-being, now looking at things in a positive way, mentally I feel good, automatically I feel that I don't have any issues at all. During exams, students complain they're not feeling well. Why? Because of that fear. Now where did this fear come? Because of lack of preparedness for the exam, they come up with all kind of fear, and finally they think that they are not keeping well, end up taking tablets. But had the student prepared well in advance, even if there is a slight fever also, it is not noticed by the student, isn't it? So that's why we say, physical and mental well-being are always related. And thus, to keep ourselves strong, we should regularly exercise, have proper food intakes, avoid alcohol and drugs, get enough sleep. I recently came across a very young girl who passed away. She was an RJ, a very well known RJ of Karnataka in Bangalore. She was in her 36, she was at 36 or 37 only, not 40. She goes to the workplace, she suddenly falls down. Okay, so she's taken immediately hospital, she's under coma, and then she passes away. The reason doctor says is stress. Lack of sleep also leads to stress. So she was sleeping for lesser than 4 hours a day. She was highly workaholic. And then finally, it took her life because of lack of sleep. We need to get at least 6 hours minimum. We all must, sleep. There are many relaxation techniques. You can do meditation. You can do yoga also. So develop mental good practices, so mentally stay strong. They say that if you're mentally strong, you can overcome the tallest obstacle, in life. In India, one of the epics of India is Mahabharata. Their team was very small, okay, but they had Lord Krishna with him, was mentally very much strong. He never took his, weapons, but mentally, by being strong, by understanding the weakness of opponents, he made a small team win the battle. That is the power of, mental well-being, isn't it? So if I have a problem, I should reach out to people. Okay, so seek help from others is another way of, feeling good. Now, again, when we speak about well-being, so there are people who debate: is it the nature itself? It comes by nature, or you can nurture. Let us see. So they say that, the composition of a few is it genetic. They say that genetic makeup 50% it makes up, being very much active, interactive, having a personality of socializing. It came from great grandfathers, they say. But everything doesn't come. There are certain things that you can cultivate. That is where the 40% behavior comes. 10% people react differently due to the different circumstances. So when you look at nature versus nurture here, as I said, 50% is genetic makeup. Each of us is genetically bestowed with a baseline or potential for happiness, something similar to weight. These are biologically endowed with skinny dispositions and some with the ability to put on weight also. There are some people who are, be due to the heredity reason, they are plump, born plump, and they carry it on, forward. So now, because of the genetic reason, there are some people who are society because the person is body shamed. You see, sometimes life circumstances, whether we are rich or poor, married or divorced, beautiful or plain looking, healthy or unhealthy. So, variation in happiness accounts for only 10%. Okay, it's finally the behavior, the 40% that you see, it is within our control. So it is all in the mind. If your mind is happy, you say that I'm good, I'm doing good, I'll be doing better each day. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer, he used to tell himself in front of the mirror, since you're the best, you're the best. And he was the best, isn't it? So let us look into the dimensions of well-being here. So dimensions of well-being incorporates emotional wellness, environmental wellness, the people around us. From the beginning, from our childhood days, we are taught by our parents, be with the person who's doing good, isn't it? Environmental wellness. Have some friends who are always positive, optimistic, be with them. Automatically, you also become a good performer. Financial wellness. Manage. People are managing their life with few thousands, and there are people who are not managing with few crores. They run away from one country to another country. So financially you should be able to balance. I follow Warren Buffett when it comes to financial wellness. He says first you save, then you spend. He says don't keep all the money in one basket. That's a learning to the industrialists to not invest in only one business, but you should have a portfolio of businesses, isn't it? So all the answers are around us, just a click away from us. So what problem are you facing now? Just give a click and search it in Google. There you are. So if it's financial wellness, also you come across that. Intellectual wellness, occupational wellness in the workplace. Try to safeguard yourself from occupational hazards. Manage. Now, for example, helmet is important when you're traveling with two-wheeler. Wear it. Ignoring that may take away, cause you physical, non-wellness also, isn't it? So physical wellness, social wellness, spiritual wellness. Okay. So then when you speak about environmental wellness, it's all about interactions between the environment, people around you, like what I said in the previous slide. So there is a small activity which I do. Maybe you can listen to it and you can try doing it among your colleagues also, among your students also. It is like, if you've been with a particular class of students for the last 6 months, you've been going there twice in a week or thrice in a week, you can do this activity in the class. Or if you know your colleagues from long, just go out for lunch, or during that lunch period, do this activity. Just speak one good thing about one person. Make one person as say Dr. Rashmi Gujarati ma'am today. We all know her very well. Highly capable, highly dynamic, extremely very good at network. She manages, be it holding a conference, hosting a conference, 400, minimum 400 people come for a conference from all parts of the world. She's highly capable. Now, if Rashmi Gujarati ma'am is today the center of the person whom we can speak, now I'm sure each one of us who presented here have so much to speak about Rashmi ma'am. Probably Rashmi ma'am doesn't know herself her capabilities that, oh my God, am I this? She's so much capable. She goes to different parts of India as a keynote speaker, and she, shares her knowledge and expertise, and she herself is an inspiration to many people. So, like Gujarati ma'am, I have a lot to speak about her. Like that, we in turn can do this with our students. They definitely will feel good. One kind word about one person. You never know how the day was with one person, but one kind word that you spoke about that person can make the day, can make a person come back to life. So this usually we do in a class. So this is about the activity. We'll ask students to give a rating from 1 to 10 and how they are feeling. So post activity, how they are feeling. I'm sure if you do this activity, they'll feel extremely good. You can also make use of this checklist method. Okay, so wherein you can ask them these many questions. Say, I have the ability to talk with someone about my emotional concern and share my feelings with others. So they should be honest to give rating from 1 to 5. 1 being strongly disagree to 5 being highly, say, strongly agree. So now if you, so like this, you have to keep on, asking questions. Say, I can say no when I need to without feeling guilty. Sometimes we are not honest enough to reveal our feelings, isn't it? So like this, there are some questions wherein you can, ask them to do justice to writing 1 to 5 here. Okay, then you can read out. So you can ask students, identify points where you have scored 3 or lesser than 3. Okay, so we can help them to improve their scores as a faculty or as a counselor or as a professor whom we know our mentees are students better. We can always help them out. Suppose now one student says, I feel contented most of the time. 1. I'm able to relax. 1. There are students who sleep for just 2 hours. He's not able to relax. Why? Sometimes when you take this person out, he tells he had so many personal problems. In one gas burst, he lost parents together the same day. Because of that incident, he's shaken up. He cannot sleep for more than 2 hours. So now we took him to, we can't do counseling. It's too high a case. So we took him to neuro counselors. So they helped him to come out of it, and today he's able to do good. You see, so small activities which we do in a class can make your students' life most effective and productive, in the college. And if they continue this, they can do even more better in the workplace. So, the ways we can enhance our emotional well being could be through being kind. Let us be kind today. Let us be generous today. Let us follow that kind act every day. how much good was I? How many smiles did I bring per person per day? Express gratitude. Every small thing that is done, express that gratitude. Practice forgivingness, so that adds beauty also to us, isn't it? So mindfulness, positive thinking skill. There is an example of this, if you see a picture here, the lady is reading out news. Her name is Supreet Kaur. She's an example of resilience skill. She was reading out a news wherein there was a big accident that had happened. And she gets a call saying that she lost her husband in the accident. But still, she did her job. Resilience, So this is another social wellness. So if you want to look at students, if they are good at socializing, so you can ask this question, same thing, like I'm assertive, I balance social and personal time. I can be who I am in all situations. I engage with other people. So these kind of things, again, we can do it with our students and ask them to rate. So here is another slide which says that this is very crucial. So in a workplace, why does a business fail? Why does an organization fail? When we speak about organization, it is people who make the organization, isn't it? So there is workplace which is unsafe. Okay, now there is less ventilation, less lighting facility that is causing people not to see properly, as a result of which they get stressed, and that may lead to accidents also in workplaces. So now, no proper training, no helping out when an employee needs your help. If these are not done, then obviously, the person gets stressed, and to overcome the stress, all wrong things they do. What do? They go end up with smoking, boozing, overeating, lack of exercises. There are people who say, when I ask, what do you do when you're too upset? Ma'am, I overeat. And what happens later on to overeating? It affects their physical well-being, isn't it? And unhealthy environment. There are organizations which give 20 minutes nap time for the employees. They give a break time for the employees. They have this yoga in the workplace. They have this gym in the workplace because it cares a lot about the employee. Employees love to go to the workplaces. Why? Because of the healthy work environment. If it's the other way, then what happens is, there is a lot of absenteeism. When many people are absent from the workplace, work is not happening effectively. Then when work is not happening, you've got a huge order to manufacture something, employees are not there. Then what happens? You lose this, not just this project, rest of the projects also in future. As a result of that, the company gets closed due to the big failure, isn't it? So that's why, unwellness at workplace is very expensive for the organization to bear. There has been statistics here, that many organizations have, it has costed a lot for the organization by not having wellness at workplaces. Okay, so there'll be a lot of cost to stress. If you look at here, $1,100 billion is the cost of chronic diseases. It was said that it has been through research, it has found out that 2.2 trillion dollars annual losses happening in United States. Okay, so due to not physical well-being or wellness in the workplaces. Okay, so usually when you look at the organizations, the employees percentage experiencing stress, it is said that, so 67% of the employees are finding it to be a stressful workplaces. Okay, so it is very important to have all these numbers and make a workplace a better place to live in, because the most wellness programs that you organize in your workplace, the better the work is happening, employee relationship is growing, the lesser the defects, lesser the absenteeism. Okay, so it is, through the research that's been found that 70% of the employees need their employees help for health and financial security. So why will an employee continue to work with you? You take care of them, job security is there. At the same time, you're also into general insurance, group insurance, medical insurances also, isn't it? Okay, so here it is, so because I had too much of content, I thought I'll just stress on the most important part. So 2021's workplace wellness trends were like this. 70% them of the companies incorporated physical well-being into their strategy. They added everyday yoga in their workplace. They added gymnast, going to gym and working in the gym for some time. And then emotional, 67% of the companies, they incorporated emotional well-being, that counselors in their workplace. They started treating every colleague as their own family member. Okay. So 65% of the companies, they incorporated social well-being as one of their strategies. Let us socialize, let us host some function, let us host some parties for their families also. Okay. So 54% of companies incorporated financial well-being into their strategy, while 68% of the companies incorporate career well-being into their strategy. This was the statistics of 2021. The organizations put together, they concentrated on. So this was all to make them emotionally strong, to remove the stress, anxiety, maintain even maternity room. There is this room for creches are there. If you have a very infant child and nobody's there to take care, you can bring that. And you have hired some ladies who will take care of the child, who are experienced hand. Job is also given to such experienced ladies who might not be highly qualified. Usually we say midwives, isn't it? So in this case, what we say is some such people are not highly qualified. You hire them. They're also getting job. They're taking care of the children, and mother is concentrating better because her child is taken care of. Immediately, in between, she's also getting breaks to go and feed the child. All these are emotionally getting connected to your employees. Career, flexible work time. Thanks to pandemic, we have understood about how to work during pandemic because of all these online options. That's why here today we are listening to speakers from Malaysia, we are listening to people from part of the world, isn't it? Similarly, software engineers are told to do show a particular result in a day. They can finish it in 2 hours or 5 hours. Flexible work time is very important, isn't it? So then coming to nutrition, so so many organizations, they give very good food to the employees. They don't carry box with them. Many universities also are offering this to their professors. They offer breakfast, lunch, or there is an oven kept wherein you can heat it and have it, if you enjoy having it in a good temperature, all that. Okay. So these things are there. So that's how I would like to conclude today by saying that health and well-being is an integral part, not just to students, to all of us. Okay, to build a better nation, we need healthy and well-being kind of, positive mindset kind of people, for not just there for their growth, their family, and their country's development and economy's development too. I would like to conclude my talk with this. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was Dr. Kavita from Christ University, Bangalore, India. Now, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Rashmi Gujrati, Campus Director, KC Group of Institutes, to extend vote of thanks to all the keynote speakers today.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much to my all speakers, those who have given their presentation. Professor Joy has focused on goal 1, and lot of things he have explained related with sustainable development goal. With that, Professor Burhan has focused on goal 2, and in goal 2, zero hunger, it is very important in our world that to be remove the poverty from the society and to remove the hungerness from the society. As Dr. Yelena has explained and show us how the Ukraine has faced at the time of the war, and still they are living in that situation. Thank you very much, Professor Burhan, Professor Yelena, Professor Gio, and Professor Kavita. You have explained related with the good health and well-being. It is a very important after COVID. It has become important to keep our health properly and to keep our society with the good health and well-being. So I give a big thanks to my all speakers and participants, those who have attended this program. Tomorrow also we have an event at 4 o'clock, and our other speakers are going to explain other goals like next goal, which is related with 5, 6, 7, 8 like this. We have a 5 days program, and each days our speakers will be explain each goals, and that will be beneficial for us to understand how we can support in our society. Thank you very much. Namaste from India.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a great platform to know you all, to understand all these, and to listen to you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, great day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much to all the dignitaries and all the participants from across the globe. Thank you so much for joining us today and making this event a big success. So stay tuned for more such successful events like these. Tomorrow we will have such another keynote speakers from across the globe. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.